I have never actually fallen in love with someone. I have been in what I thought was love a few times, but that wasn't really what it was. So while I may not have ever been in love with anybody, I have fallen in love with a few video games over the years. And recently, that's happened again.
Where am I supposed to be? Washed up, pushed out, or on my feet? Tell me, is this a dream, or am I stuck in a movie scene? Daily, lately, I'm spinning away so crazy. So baby, just take me. I think I'm caught up in the way I feel about you. I don't know how I can be so drawn into you. I think I'm falling into you. I think I'm caught up in the way.
So, what I want to talk about today is why I fell in love with the games that I did, and what about them was so appealing, and why that actually happened again. So, let me take you back to 2013. I was 22. Soul Calibur 5 was released in 2012, and while I had played it on and off, I was very much a normie, a filthy casual, if you will. I had played Soul Calibur 2 back in the day. I had the GameCube version, specifically for Link. I didn't play Soul Calibur 3, but I did own and play Soul Calibur 4. I had lots of fun with it with my friends. So when 5 was released, naturally, I bought it. But it wasn't until a year later, in 2013, that I had nothing to do and all the time to do that. I was finally able to beat the legendary Souls arcade mode. And I figured if I could do that, I could probably go online. And as it turns out, I completing Legendary Souls mode made me more than qualified to win some fights online. And it wasn't long after that I decided I would climb the leaderboard to have my gamer tag sit at the top of the board. And in February of 2014, about a year later, I achieved that. I ended up putting over 1,000 hours into that game. The second game I fell in love with was Red Dead Redemption. I found a copy of it at Best Buy for $20, and it was part of the Greatest Hits collection, if I remember correctly. I wasn't looking for something to take me away from Soul Calibur. I was looking for something to keep playing while I was trying to hit the top of the board in Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur was very much my main game at the time, but I didn't want to stop playing other games. I did not like being a one-trick pony. I don't think I'm surprising anyone when I say that Red Dead Redemption was a great game, and I tried my best to 100% it, and I came shockingly close. The only challenge I was never able to complete the game with was earning $1,000 from gambling. I never got that due to the fact that once I checked, I was actually negative $1,000 from messing around in the gambling before I realized that that was a challenge. On the plus side, I did learn how to play Hold'em from attempting to claw back some of those losses. I don't know how many hours I put into it, but for sure, it was at least into the hundreds. The third time I fell in love was in 2018. Monster Hunter World was released, and a friend of mine game shared it with me because he wanted me to try it out. I had never touched a Monster Hunter game before that, never in my life, and so after logging 1,000 hours into something I've never touched before, I'm pretty sure you could call that love. So fast forward to 2021, and I've fallen in love with Monster Hunter Rise. It was kind of rocky there at the start for me. I bought the Monster Hunter edition of the Switch because I was so sure I was going to love it. And while the hunting was excellent, the rest of the game just felt off to me. It may have been the switch over to a different console, it may have been the lame story, in my opinion, the lame story. It could have been a whole list of things, but what I do know is what made me fall in love with it again. I had my Switch in my hand, and I was playing Rise. I was in the middle of a hunt, and I was chasing a monster down that had run off from me. And I remember getting my first Game Boy. This was just like a core memory that flashed back to me. I just remembered the old black and white black and green actually, screen, and just being perfectly content with it. And that was it. That was all it took. An old memory of the Game Boy days, right? 2 AAA batteries and no backlight to speak of. It was such a quick memory that I couldn't have lasted for more than a few seconds. And when I snapped back to reality, I was holding my Switch and I was still chasing down this monster. I actually had to pause the game and just soak it in for a moment. You know, how far hardware has come and how capable it is compared to what I started with back in the late 90s. And from that moment on, I began to fall in love again. I no longer looked at my Switch as underpowered, and I realized how absolutely crazy it is that I walk around with a phone in my pocket that can emulate a GameCube. That realization reframed Rise for me. I was spoiled by World and its beautiful graphics, but Monster Hunter World is at the end of its life cycle, and it's time to move on, unfortunately. Rise has just started, and I want to be there. I want to see all the updates and hunt every monster, even monsters I don't even know existed. I want to see it evolve, like World did with Iceborne, and how much better it will be once it's all said and done.
Where am I supposed to be? Washed up, pushed out, or on my feet? Tell me, is this a dream, or am I stuck in a movie scene? Lately, I'm spinning away so crazy. So baby, just take me. I think I'm caught up in